Hi, I'm Leigh Carmody. I'm a curator for the Medical Action Ontology, we call MAxO. I work for Peter Robinson at the Jackson Laboratory and in conjunction with the Monarch Initiative. I'm going to talk to you about the development of MAxO and the expansion to include COVID-19 treatment terms. The Medical Action Ontology provides a structured vocabulary for medical procedures and interventions, therapies, and treatments. This is a very broad view of what a medical action is. Any kind of recommendation, including nutrition, exercise, environmental avoidance, that a physician or care provider would make will be attempted to be included. This is an upper level view of MAxO. Most terms fall under therapeutic procedure, but there are a few other upper level concepts. Currently, MAxO has 980 terms and over 3,000 synonyms. Large number of synonyms is that there are a number of different ways to express concepts in the literature. We wanted to encapsulate as many as we possibly could. One main goal is to use a MAxO to annotate diseases. I'm showing a suite of Monarch ontologies, including Mondo, which is a disease ontology, and human phenotype ontology. As you're aware, not all treatments treat a disease. So while primarily we're going to annotate medical actions to diseases, some treatments treat a particular phenotype or a side effect of other treatments. So we are building an annotation model to include these distinctions. In the Monarch Initiative, we have had an emphasis on rare disease, but these ontologies have been designed to be able to accommodate and model common and infectious diseases. And I'm going to go into it a little bit later, but there are a number of OBO ontologies that are building blocks for MAxO. Showing here is one of our use cases of using gene reviews to enrich MAxO and identify by identifying new terms and extracting MAxO disease links. Now, if you're not familiar, gene reviews provides a clinically relevant and medically actionable information for inherited conditions. Most of the disease write-ups contain a management section. The management sections not only provide useful information about what content needs to be in MAxO, but it also provides a wealth of information about the number of different ways to express a concept. It is a good place also to start testing some of our text mining tools. For COVID-19, I started this back in March and April, trying to identify new MAxO terms. It was a bit of the Wild West early on. I used blog posts, social media accounts, and sparse literature available, but now, of course, the CDC, the WHO have prominent information on their websites, and NCBI hosts Like COVID. So there are a number of different resources to identify new COVID-19 treatments, diagnostics, etc. And we are trying to tap into as many of these additional resources now. One area we worked heavily on is the airway management branch. This existed prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, but it was not quite as structured. We made sure to include or added terms like oxygen therapy, but oxygen support with nasal duct or mask. One fairly specific term is ventilation with proning. But we made sure that ECMO and which is down here, a number of other terms which can be used in other disease treatment. But They have been used in COVID-19, so we wanted to make sure they were present in MAxO. Most curation was done in Protégé. I'm showing you an image of it, but I'm not going to go into detail, as many of you know how that works. One thing I'm going to add is this is an ontology development kit, ODK Ontology. The tools have been deployed in our repo for building and editing MAxO. ODK is very helpful. It bundles tools for releases. It allows customizable QC procedures. One thing I do use fairly often, and I'm going to show you an example of it, is the DOS-DP patterns. Once these patterns are established, you can just add new terms via a spreadsheet. And if you are interested in how to deploy these tools in your own ontology, please check out the GitHub repository. Here is a portion of one of the patterns. This pattern example was added specifically for COVID-19. It is a swab collection of biological material, and the location is an anatomical location that I've termed it. Under classes, it's a little confusing, but location, again, that's an Uberon term, or I'm using it as an Uberon term. Owl thing is heads to the top of Uberon to identify any terms within Uberon. I am pairing it with a MAxO term that is actually swab collection. It's this number. I have been made aware that OB has a swab collection term, and there are plans to pull in OB term and deprecate the MAxO term. We use relationship ontology terms from relationship ontology and BFO. And you can build with this pattern annotation properties. And if you're not aware, the %s is the variable. So if you're talking about any kind of Uberon anatomy term, and I'm going to use the example nasal turbinate, if you're pulling that in from Uberon, you can say nasal turbinate swab collection, or you can build a synonym swab collection of nasal turbinate. You can even use this pattern to build in a definition or a textual definition or a logical definition using the same sort of principles. And here I'm going to show you a portion of the TSV file that we couple with this pattern to build it in. In this case, here's the nasal turbinate, here's the Uberon ID that is being pulled in, and we build a new term and assign it to a MAxO ID here. But there is a significant flexibility in these patterns. You can overwrite the term label. In this case, normally when you're pulling in a Uberon term, it would build it as rectum swab collection. However, generally we call it rectal swab collection. And so I have chosen to overwrite it, and that is the term label. And you can do this with the definitions, the synonyms, etc. Currently, we pull in a number of different ontologies. Up here is the relationship ontology, and this is for annotation fields that we pull in, but the domain specific ontologies, we currently pull in several ontologies. We will be shortly pulling in a number of new ontologies, and particularly OB and protein ontology and cell ontology are next up. I put an asterisk for all the ontologies that we've either interacted with or made a GitHub ticket to request new terms or or had questions, etc. about. And just for full disclosure, I am an editor for human phenotype ontology and neuro behavior ontology, so I do have inputs there. So some of the COVID-19 related treatment terms that we've added: area management, added a CT pattern for lung CT and other different anatomy CTs. Similarly, we've added a radiography pattern, so we can add things like CT pulmonary angiogram. The clinical measurement terms, to add a number of protein measurements. Currently, this is not a pattern, but that is the end goal to development. We have many biomarker measurements, blood cell measurements, some patient assessment terms, and of course, viral detection assays. And one of our future directions is trying to incorporate all of this into our relational and database, and to be able to add all these annotations in a searchable website. Currently, our website is hbo.jax.org, where you can search for the disease, gene, or phenotype. Eventually, we also hope that a MAxO term is here. I'm showing Fanconi anemia here, and it shows phenotype associations that are related to Fanconi anemia. There's gene associations. Hopefully with the new MAxO annotations, we will be able to have a MAxO associations tab. This also will be able to host information about COVID-19 and its associations with HPO, and potentially with MAxO as we move forward. And I want to thank you. I want to invite you to contribute. Go to our GitHub account and please add issues or reach out to me specifically. I do have under Monarch Initiative and through the CD2H funding to help with MAxO development. There are a number of people who help me, not just me. Like Lauren and Nicole are involved in curation, and Peter is of course my boss and helping with everything. Nico has had a significant impact, particularly with ODK, and Hannah and Michael have been involved with some of the text mining software and developing relational databases. All right, and thank you so much.